which means watch and learn. And as always, whenever I find interesting, neural networks or deep learning based interview question, I am so excited to share with you. And I will be sharing a couple of questions that I have seen over the past couple of weeks that has been asked quite often. And I would like to share it with you here so that you can prepare better for your upcoming interviews. All right, so the first question you must be already familiar with, but I still want to say that this has been asked quite a number of times. So for example, I have an image, and you can see, just assume that this is a 6 by 6 image. Okay, and these are the pixel values. All right, and what we typically saw in a convolutional neural network, and that's where the interview question is, that we use something like this. This is called as a filter, and in some literature we also call it as kernels, right? So what we typically do is we take this filter and we convolve it with this image, right? So the first question is, why do we do a convolution? What is the the physical reason or the practical reason why we do a convolution here? Instead of, what I can typically do is I can take this 36 values from here, right? And I can create a neural network like this, right? And where the input will have 36 values, right? I can do that. But instead of doing that, what I'm doing here is I'm doing a convolution with a 3 by 3 or 5 by 5 or what. Mostly it is an odd number filter, but typically that's what we do. So the first question is, why do we not do this and instead we do this? Okay, so that is the first question. I will give you some hint, and also I'll share some useful links in the description where you can learn about all these practical reasons as well. So one of the reason is, when if you are totally free to do that you can take all these values, right, and you can arrange them in a row vector or a column vector. That means you will have all the 36 values in a straight line, right? The problem is, once you do that, once you arrange them all your 36 values like this, the problem is you lost the structure or the edges of a particular object in that picture. And that is one of the biggest problem when we do image processing. The main idea is to identify the structure, and the moment if we individually lay them out in a vertical in a row vector or a column vector, we lost that structure. And that is what convolution tries to solve, that instead of moving the picture, we are rather using a filter. Now that is one of the questions that I saw many people ask, and you are supposed to explain that. The second thing is, can you explain what this particular 3 by 3 filter would actually do in a convolutional neural network? What is the purpose of this filter, right? And why do we have specific 1 1 1 0 0 0 and -1 -1 instead of, why cannot I have say 5 0 -5 and so on, right? Or 5 5? Why cannot I have these values, or can I have these values? One of the reason is, and that's what in convolutional neural network, we don't want to go with hard-coded values like 1 1 1 0 0 0 -1 -1. Instead, in convolutional neural network, this is what we actually are trying to learn from our neural networks. So instead of specific hard-coded values, we rather want to learn the weights. So it probably would look like this. Okay, and that is how through back propagation we try to learn all this. So in case of a 3 by 3 filter, we try to learn all these 9 parameters. Okay, so that is one of the reason. Otherwise, you can see this, if we go with hard-coded values, this will do a vertical edge detection, and this will do a horizontal edge detection. And again, if we go by this route, then again we are not doing machine learning or deep learning, rather we are hard coding things, and we might soon run out of options. Okay, so these are the two very common questions that I saw people actually face difficulty. They claim that they have learned, applied CNN, YOLO, and other techniques, but then these are the basic that you need to explain to an interviewer. Also, other questions I have shortlisted here, which most of the interviewers are asking these days, is one is what are the pros and cons of the one-shot learning? Have you implemented YOLO, and can you explain mathematically that how YOLO or you only look once method works? What is the benefit of transfer learning, and what are the issues you might face? What is the purpose of a pooling layer? Again, you have to explain it this way, that what a pooling layer does in a practical standpoint. Have you implemented inception networks? What is the purpose of data augmentation? So I'll give you an answer here that we may not have so much of data while we are trying to tweak our algorithm, and we might have one or two images of a particular object. So in order to help in our learning, we might want to create the new data from the existing data set, and that is where we use data augmentation. And as part of data augmentation, you might rotate the picture or flip the picture vertically or horizontally and so on, or you might take a portion of that picture and do all those kind of permutation combination to get some new data set from the existing ones. And that's where data augmentation is helps. What is object localization and how can we do that? This is very important because that's how you are going to eventually identify the object. What is the IOU, or commonly called as intersection over union? You should explain this mathematically, that how we can use two different bounding boxes, take the ratio and explain it. And why do we do non-max suppression, right? And eventually some people might also ask about what is a Siamese networks and so on. So these are all related to your convolutional neural network and image processing, and I believe this gives you a overall understanding what sort of question you might expect during a neural network or a deep learning interview pertaining to image processing. I'll share the links where you see there are abundant content online where you can learn all these concepts, but I have found personally that Andrew Ng has covered this everything in a step-by-step method, and I will share the link in the description section where you can take that course and you can learn all of it, and it will be actually very easy to learn from that course because it has been systematically arranged. All right, I hope this gives you a clear picture what to expect and what to prepare for. All the best, and I'll talk to you next time.